Coming up, corrugated fiberglass is used to separate the rooms of a cool loft. A lot of people have offices in their home, but what about an entire gallery? Well, this is one home designed for many uses in mind. Sleeping, working, creating. Everything has its place.
Hi, I'm Val M Cox, a painter and sculptor. And these may be garage doors on either side of me, but there's anything but cars inside. Come take a look. I needed a big open space for my work as an artist, a place where I could paint work, in which I could build the things before they're painted. This place was a raw, open garage, industrial, no frills, a blank slate for me. Just had to find the places for everything to be. Studio space, workspace, storage, exhibit space, and living space.
Before Val moved here, before I moved here, it was a wagon shop. When I lived here, it was the livery for a funeral home. They kept limousines and hearses here, and then it was a bicycle repair shop. Yeah, then Val moved in, and it was just sort of abandoned space with the miscellany of all its prior uses strewn about.
I wanted to divide this space just minimally, just enough to define the different areas and their uses. I got real creative with the way I divided up this space, from the front door to door number 2, the exhibit space. And behind this door, my kitchen. And here's my living space, humble as it is, door number 4. Around the corner, my big, beautiful studio space. I fell in love with this corrugated fiberglass. Divides the space, lets the light through, unifies the whole space of the building. I created this whole long wall of the corridor with it, and even in my kitchen, to divide the kitchen from the storage beyond. I'd seen the idea of a translucent partition someplace, and it is not an unusual thing these days. I love the idea of having a space that's private and has its own function, but is not just cut off completely by a solid wall. The system of the corrugated fiberglass with the metal studs, in combination with light, of course, adds up to more than the sum of its parts. It takes on a life where you see light going through different parts of the building. I wanted that here. So basically the overall space is still in mind as you're moving through the building. The studio is always the most important part. It's the largest part. It's right in the heart of the building. My work is large. I need space to move around and look at paintings and stand back and look at things in different perspectives. I needed space. So I decided what part of the building I wanted to be my studio. And it turned out that that was the farthest part from the street, right in the back of the building. I started working on an easel like many artists, but years ago I gave that up and started painting on the wall. I had studio after studio that was just almost Swiss cheese. The walls were so full of nail holes because you get something in one position, put a nail in, move it, move things around. I just didn't want that anymore. I created this painting frame for hanging my work when I'm working on it, moving the paintings around very simply through an S-hook, a chain, and an S-hook. No nails in the wall, off and on the wall, up and down around the room. Perfect flexibility. I have an exhibit space that's just great because I always have some work on exhibit when people come by. We have wine, cheese, mill around, see the things, they ask about it. So it's great to have that as part of the overall studio.
This is one of the coolest places in Pittsburgh to visit, and there's some awesome parties here. A lot of people have events here. People bring tour groups from out of town to see his work because a lot of people like to see an environment in which an artist is actually living and working in the same space.
Building this place went in 2 phases. 2 months to divide and conquer the whole thing as a studio. Another 2 months for residence and kitchen. Altogether, it took $15,000, $20,000, maybe a little more, in that range. I think it's great. I live and work in a place that's just perfect for my needs. I have the best commute in the world, 15 feet from my living quarters to my work. And it's easy, it's fast, also it's separate. I'm really thrilled with this place because it became what I wanted it to be, or very close to it. It feels right, it functions well. It's what I had in mind, and it's very nice to come close to what you have in mind, whether you're planning a space or you're painting a painting, whatever. I'm really glad that it came together the way it did.